Welcome to session 1 of Good Night. For this introductory session, you have no upkeep. You will not need the manifest, but you should prepare to make skill checks and attack rolls and be able to take damage. Whenever you're ready, you can hit the ready button in front of you and we'll begin. Ari, it's not a real ready button. That's it.
You're muted, Ari.
You
I was in roll 20, like, where's the button? What am I missing?
merely a invention of our minds. You find yourselves in the little town of Evening Star, in ancient Cormyr, which fell nearly 25 years ago. This area is currently under the administration of the Flaming Fist from the distant western city of Othkatla. Let's look at the map together. Far to the east, the elven empire of the Cormanthyr grows hungry after the retaking of their capital, Myth Dranor. The elves now begin to gaze toward these ancestral lands. And to our north, mountains, the Stormhorns, nigh impassable. To the south, deep forest, then the sea. But we are here, in the heart of it. You find yourselves in the Lonesome Tankard, a tavern in Evening Star. We are off to the north of the middle of town. Most of Evening Star is clustered around the high road, which runs east to west through the middle of town. The farther south you go, the more commercial it gets. Mills, warehouses, services for travelers. Head north toward the river, and you start to hit houses and then fields. The nicer houses are toward the bend in the river, and the houses become gradually more modest as barns and irrigation ditches get mixed in heading eastward. Far enough north, and you hit the river docks and the lumber yard, and then a whole lot of nothing. Mining, forestry. Most of that stuff comes down the river, and there's a brisk business in moving it. And that business is mostly orchestrated by a loose confederation of locals who have lived here well before the Fist raised their flag. The Tankard is just down the road from the St. Cyr Manor, which makes it Laird's haunt. Ed Severino makes the walk up here through the fields, and that's most of the power of this place in one room. This tavern has an open floor plan, one story, open, big. It's pleasantly warm here tonight. It smells of linseed oil. Chilly outside. Not much of a fire needed to keep it pleasant. Today is an interesting day for Evening Star. Lainey Lochlaren, who is somewhere between the local weatherwoman and the town's academic rabble-rouser, gives the weather report just after sunset tonight. And it's just about dusk. The sun will be setting. Good night, Faerun. Good night. Lainey is here, to the right of the bar. She is a slight woman with salt and pepper hair, and she is murmuring to herself as she copies the contents of a leather-bound journal to a chalkboard. With each deep breath, her body language suggests that her anxiety is growing as her moment approaches. Sitting in the bar is her daughter, a young human woman with short black hair and an expression of knowingness. You watch as your mother mouths words, practicing, attempting to overcome her anxiety with preparation. She takes a deep breath. The anticipation is really the worst part. But it would be nice if you could get her attention for just a moment. She lent your booklight to your brother Ran this morning. You are Matilda Lochlauren, and you find yourself looking at your mother Lainey. She gives you a little smile, and just as your mouth goes oval to speak, she goes back to what she was doing. Tilda, how do you look tonight? What do we see?
I look like a young, impetuous woman. I'm covered in leathers that have too many pockets that I can't possibly fill. My hair is wild, but obviously primped. I have a youthful appearance, and I'm looking around, making eye contact with people who want to avoid eye contact with me, which is roughly everybody. I'm looking for somebody to talk to.
Do you see anybody you know at the tankard tonight?
Across the table, I don't see my token here.
One moment. You disappeared into the ether. One moment. And now, Tilda,
I see myself.
you see.
I recognize many at this tavern. Maybe some a little too well. I see No Way down there, minding her own business as she usually tries to, but fails. I see Julienne. We go back, but I wouldn't say we're friends. The bartender, Mikhail, of course I know. He's been slipping me drinks since before I was able to, but nobody in a camp like this cares. Of course, Elias Kit. Nobody likes a man like that, right? Right?
Who could like a symbol of authority?
Now that my mother has rebuked me, I'm trying to ignore her.
Well, I would say, with that in mind, Tilda, it's about time to get the weather report out of the way, isn't it?
I'll walk up to my mother. Come on, Mom, you've done this like 150 times.
She's shaking her head. As soon as you approach, her eyes close. You can tell that she has a dismissive look on her face, even though you can't see it.
Can you just get this over with?
She whips around, facing you. Her hair follows the velocity of her movement. She nods her head and says, "And we shall, Tilds." The bar itself is relatively lean tonight. Most of the laborers have gone home for the year. This changes the dynamic of the town a lot. Ed doesn't have 6 dozen men to carouse with, he has 10. Some are working overnight as we speak at the barge dock to the north. A few are still here. Seasonal laborers from the west coast, here to make the most of the last of the season. There's only a handful of them left, but that's still enough to outnumber some people. And sitting by herself, as is her right, is a radiant young woman with golden hair. Her eyes are alert but soft, and everything about her speaks of luminosity and elegant power. She is as pretty as the golden hour. You are Arsinoe St. Cyr, and you find yourself looking a bit out of place. Your father Laird should be here soon. It's even odds that your mother, Rebecca, will be with him. Laird is here for the weather report. Your family has a controlling financial interest in this harvest, the last harvest of the year. Laird wants to know when the first frost will be. Sun melons are planted in 4 fields. Each dense, fertile field is just over an acre, filled with expensive, fragile, golden, luxury fruit. Hail or Sinaway, do you ever feel like a sunmelon?
In that you're ready to burst? No, I don't think she's familiar with the feeling.
What do we see, Arsinoe?
Arsinoe is a tall, willowy woman, broad-shouldered, golden skin, golden hair. It's very neatly braided away from her face, very long, well taken care of. Her clothes are not necessarily overly ornamental or embroidered, but they're made of fine material and extremely well fitted. Despite her sort of sitting quietly, perfect posture, eyes low down on her book and only occasionally flicking up to track Tilda as she bulldozes across the tavern floor. She is keeping to herself quietly, not necessarily looking to engage in anyone in conversation until her parents arrive.
In your heart of hearts, Noe, do you want your mother here tonight or not?
Everything seems to get a little bit louder when Rebecca is here. But she also has a way of keeping my father calm.
You are exactly right. She works as a moderating influence for both your father and by extension for the entire town, doesn't she? Your father will be here any minute, you presume. He has been wanting to talk to you for a few days. You asked him to create a magical barrier to prevent your unicorn, your ancestral animal, and a symbol of 1,000 different things that matter to you. And he refused. This may be a difficult conversation. In an attempt to conceptualize his perspective, make an intelligence check, DC 12.
Okay. Okay, that was a 17.
You pass. He means the best. Zanaya is a unicorn. You tend to use the word your when preceding it. Your unicorn, your thing, but she is wild. Your father knew this. And we shall see how your conversation about this may proceed with him. Standing by the doorway is a man wearing heavy chainmail and a tired expression. He has a heavy manila folder that arrived via courier this morning. He uses a gloved hand to break the seal on the folder and removes a sheaf of documents. One parchment after another, carefully printed somewhere leagues to the west. Laney can smell the ink from across the bar. He is Elias Kitt, the local representative of the Flaming Fist. He accepted that commission years ago and has done his best to integrate with the locals since being stationed here as part of the Oswick Company. He takes a document out of his folder and reads it, looking across the room at a brunette woman with large, round glasses and a black and gold tunic with an elegant green accent that suggests her profession, alchemy. You are Julianne Willistride, and you find yourself with a copy of the same document in your hand. Lieutenant Kitt folds his copy and looks at you again. He looks exhausted. This writ is a warrant of appointment. You are now the local alchemist for the benefit of Evening Star under the protection and security provided by the Flaming Fist. Lieutenant Kitt should have gold for you. Or does he? Julianne, how are you carrying yourself tonight? What do we see?
Julianne is carrying herself upright. Looks like she's in a positive mood as always, smiling, just looking at everybody around the bar as she takes looks at glances at Elias Kitt and kind of nods him over to come sit next to her.
You nod to beckon Lieutenant Kitt over. He begins to move, and we will resolve this momentarily. As he starts to move, you see the fire crackling on in the fireplace. Something catches your attention, Julianne. Sitting by herself at the end of the bar, there is a slender, sapphire-skinned drow, wearing matte gray adamantine plate mail. Her violet eyes glimmer with interest. She looks around the room, and from her bracer she produces a thin dagger. To no one in particular, she says, "Can we get this started, loves?" She flicks the dagger up in the air. "800 feet north, others among you find yourselves somewhere very different. You are on a freight barge. 4 dozen timbers lashed together with oiled hemp. This barge is a freeboard, as they call it, someone's project made with extra lumber, meant to opportunistically get anything down the Starwater that's worth money. Smuggling is fun. The freeboarder captain is sitting at the stern of the barge, which is carrying valuable cargo today. No, not you. Valuable, I said. Limestone from mines upriver and reclaimed oaken kegs. The captain says his name is Steeltoe. No one would ride a barge by choice, but this is the most efficient, cost-effective way to get downriver. The captain divulged that he runs this route twice a year. He used to be a miner, so he has connections up in the Stormhorns. Coal and iron come this way year-round. Sometimes he can make a profit bringing down odd lots, and sometimes adventurers like yourselves give him a couple silver to ride along. Less than 20 miles to our east is Garden Reach, where Mithril was found about a decade ago. A steady flow of enterprising adventurers and wildcatting miners ventures up here in the hills, so your presence tonight on this freeboard is not entirely abnormal. Both of you are from somewhere far from here. And as the sun begins to set in the west, you wonder what tonight has in store for you. This barge has narrow hammocks of yellowed linen that you've been resting in on the way downriver. You are currently moving down the Starwater River. Here it broadens into a wide, shallow pond with a gentle current. This is the widest part of the Starwater in this region of the river, and the river water is a reddish chocolate in the light of the setting sun. Moradin's hammer, evening star. Sure as stone, that is a fist banner too. I thought they may have given up the gambit. The dwarf scrambles toward the front of the craft where you are. Orange banners mean red ledgers. All right, up, up, up. The barge dips and sways in the water as the dwarf shakes each of you in turn. All right, let's have a look at you. The dwarf looks to his right, where there is a 3-foot-tall green-skinned figure with an impish tail and pointed ears. You find yourself as Sporgle. You have a bunch of weapons and an empty stomach. This would be a dangerous combination for anyone, but especially for a goblin. You, Sporgle, are far away from home. This is a curious, verdant land. Riding down the river, you glide past groves of trees. The wind hits your ears and their leaves alike. And it seems that this place may not be so bad after all. Sporgle, when we look at you, what do we see?
Well, like you said, Sporgle is about 3 feet, 45 pounds. He is normally a healthy green as a goblin, but right now he is kind of seasick being on this boat because he had never been on a boat before. And now he's like a pale, sickly green currently. And while he normally has a hood up over his head, he has it down right now because he feels hot. Like this boat has not been treating him well. He feels hot. He feels like he's going to be sick. He's been sick several times already, which is probably why his stomach is so empty. And unlike most goblins, he does have a reptilian-like tail that peeks out.
Suggesting an inherent difference from a Faerunian goblin.
You could say so.
Sporgle, you had no gold to get downriver. How did you negotiate this with Steeltoe? Did you offer something? Did you have something?
It's possible that Sporgle had stolen some trinkets or things here and there. Maybe something caught his eye.
The dwarf looks to his left, to a handsome young paladin with gleaming sons of Lathander hand-painted on each pauldron. You are Kaysen, and you are here on little more than a feeling in your feet. You have a tome in your possession that guides you, and you imagine that someday you will take up an oath in the service of the ideals that have captured your young sylvan heart. In the meantime, you have little more than the promise of a radiant dawn in your future. Kaysen, what do we see? How do you carry yourself?
Oh, okay, making sure my microphone's working. Kaysen is a youthful wood elf paladin. He has a very warm, suntanned skin tone. His appearance is a bit flashy, maybe a bit cocky, like a peacock. He likes to ornament himself with basically whatever shiny things he finds, so whether it's turkey and rooster feathers or that sort of thing. He has chestnut hair with sort of gold sun-warmed accents. He's fairly short, even for a wood elf, just a couple inches over 5 feet tall. Kind of skinny, lanky, toned. He has a bit of a just sort of cocky, overly energetic demeanor about him. His armor looks as though it's been hammered back into place a number of times, like it might even be a hand-me-down or something like that. And on his pauldrons, there are suns decorated to look like the logo of Lathander. A little bit asymmetrical, almost as if they might have been painted by different people.
Kaysen, your people call this river the Elenair. Starwater is a human term. This is the start of the ways in which you will be made to feel like an outsider. To attempt to ascertain what you may face, roll history, DC 8.
DC 8. Oh. Hey, first that one of the game.
You roll a natural 1.
He's a stupid boy.
You know one basic enough thing. The year of the sunrise split this land up. There is an obelisk just outside Mithranor that was raised there over 1,000 years ago, the Standing Stone. It signifies the partnership between elves and humans in central Faerun. Now it is overshadowed by the craftworks that have encroached outward from Mithranor. Kaysen, there is a crack in the Standing Stone. You've seen it with your own eyes. But Steel Toe is already snapping his fingers. Okay. I've got it figured, Runts. Goblin, you are 45 pounds of recycled mining chains. Got it? Paladin, you are a statuette of Lathander that was affected by an enlarged spell. Religious trappings kind of be taxable, right? Humans are rubes for their gods, understood? Sporgle, in order to discern this dwarf's place in the world, make an insight check, DC 8.
Dirty 20.
With a dirty 20. You, Sporgle, can make a quick study of people. This dwarf is ridiculous. This is the start of many people on this plane that may think that they are correct about something, but they are in fact completely wrong. You would do well to keep your wits about you. You have a unique impression. You have a funny feeling that your unique perspective on this land may aid your curiosity and allow you to see what others may miss.
Is Steel Toe the only other person on this boat? Is he's running back and forth, he's the whole crew, or are there others?
That is exactly right. Yes, well spotted. These barges are typically crewed by 4 people. In fact, there are 3 hammocks here, and then his sleeping quarters by the stern. 4 people should be on here. Instead, there's only 1.
Oh no.
And the barge is lurching toward the dock. Both of you can see figures waiting for you there, silhouetted against the darkness. Back in the Lonesome Tankard, the dagger lands with a satisfying crunch, instantly wedging itself in the back of the drow's hand and pinning it to the bar. Blood splatters like a halo on the oak bar top. And there is a standoff. The barkeep moves for a white cloth as the drow withdraws a single slender finger to cast the spell, and her tongue is faster. Prestidigitation, my perfect love. The drow radiates malevolent power as she speaks. The barkeep holds up the white linen napkin like a shield. It's a matter of hygiene. I take great pride in my horizontal surfaces. Perhaps if you had a deck of cards or a demon web pit or the location of the aboleth that I am hunting, I would not be driven to the impulses of my boredom, you perfect ignorant thing. She wrenches the dagger out of her flesh with a squelch. The barkeep winces. I could probably find a deck of cards for you. Kervatix, darling. Hundreds of little black shadowy spiders emerge from within the drow's vambrace. They skitter down her forearm, covering her wound and disappearing up tiny silks to the ceiling afterwards. Her hand is whole, and she reaches out and gently pats Mikhail's cheek. She is Matron Mother Kareen Thax, here from Mesobaranzan. At his core, Mikhail just wants to have people over in his living room, which is the bar that you're in. Him and his brother Andre eke out a living here. Mikhail cooks to order, and Andre minds the stable. Not a bad business. Mikhail knows people and can probably set you on a path or two. The tavern waits for a moment as the door opens, and with a puff of cold air, a short, broad-shouldered man looks sideways across the tavern as he holds the door for somebody. I got it, Laird. The door held open for him. A slight man shuffles in. He has an elegantly aristocratic face, but he is hunched at the waist, and his arms are a tangle behind his torso. Thank you, Edward. Current circumstances notwithstanding, I still prefer to be punctual for the weather port. Although I suspect Eleni would wait for us either way. Another man follows him, stout, ruddy, concern on his face. He steadies his friend. He is Ed Severino, a local labor leader. He radiates natural power, suggestive of the druid craft that he weaves into his life and his profession. His judgmental disposition is aided by the way his arms seem to naturally cross when he looks at you. You wouldn't need me if Rebecca was here. Fulminil Reparis. From the dust at his feet, a wooden shillelagh shaped like a walking stick appears in his hand, and he tucks it into Laird's palm. My wife would say that she prefers to think about what is within the limits of her control. So not the weather. And no way from across the room you study your father. His smile still comes easy. His arms lie in repose behind him, and his chin is still high. He looks like he has something in his mind as he sits down with Ed. One moment and the action will be with the party. Julian, No Way, Tilds, it's your turn.
At this time, Ed and Laird take a seat. I'll once again take a look back at Elias Kit and see if he's finally making his way over to the bar where I'm sitting, as requested.
You make eye contact for a second time with Elias Kit. The lieutenant seems to get the hint and reluctantly, perhaps, begins to walk down the creaking floor towards you. You notice, as he approaches, that the bar stool that he is sitting at is a bit farther away from you than you'd like. To your surprise, he doesn't inch it closer. Seeing you, he sets a mass of parchment on the board. Some of these are wanted posters. One of them is your writ. Some of them must be internal important documents to the Flaming Fist. So, he clears his throat. You're expecting some gold from me, I suppose.
Well, it is part of the contract, so you are supposed to deliver and I am supposed to receive. That is how transactions go, yes.
The lieutenant's eyes narrow. He slaps your writ on the table. This says that I owe you 25 gold, but... He leans a little bit closer to you, Julian. I don't have it.
Okay. May I ask why?
Because the marshal is nearly 72 hours late. He is here to assess taxes, and I don't see him. Do you?
I'll take several looks around the room and see if I spy anybody that resembles our amicable taxman.
You quickly survey to see where is Marshal Bart Schwenkfelder. He is known as a capable outrider, a ranger by trade. He has a close personal relationship with Laird St. Cyr. The two have collaborated together on many things over the years. You get the sense that Elias Kit is not telling you something. Roll insight to attempt to determine what. DC 14.
Just mechanically, what do you add when you roll insight?
It is a wisdom. Yes, it's a wisdom modifier +2 if you are proficient in it. +4 if you have expertise in it. Does that make sense? Sorry.
I'm not sure. Under my senses on roll 20, it says insight. It just has a 9 next to it.
That's your passive insight. You'll have an active insight and a passive insight. The active insight works just like a history roll or anything like that. So in your case, you roll d20 plus Kaysen's wisdom modifier +2 if you're proficient in insight, which, not having your character sheet up, I think you might be actually.
It says my wisdom modifier is -1, save is +1.
Got it. Okay, so you are proficient in wisdom saves, but because your wisdom is 7 or 8, you subtract 1 when you roll insight. And what was the result of that insight roll, Julianne? Pass or fail? DC 14.
It was a fail.
It was a fail. You can tell instinctively that the lieutenant is hiding something from you. As you attempt to zero in on what it may be, his eyes narrow. You realize that he has been stationed here for quite some time. Weariness, fatigue, these are starting to cut into his mental state. You wonder how much Elias Kit has slept since his boss failed to show up. So I don't have the gold for you, Julienne.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's okay. Our our gentleman doesn't seem to be here, so it's not your fault. At least right now, it's not, and that's okay.
When you say right now it's not, one of his eyebrows goes up. Did you just accuse me of something?
No, absolutely not. I'm just saying that when he doesn't show up, the services trickle down onto you. That you are his substitute, backup, however you want to call it. I know you do your best, and I think you do great, and you are definitely overbooked here in this town, what you need to do, but you still have your duties you need to adhere to, and you still have a contract to oblige to. Now, he's 3 days late. Maybe he's somewhere in town and just got lost or delay in travel. Do you think there's a way we could, I don't know, assess into this somehow?
There's a way that you could assess into it. If you think you know something about Marshal Schwenkfelder's disappearance, then I invite you to help find him. I'm not sure how much longer I can stay in this town if people view me, as you said, as his replacement. It's a little bit different. As you go to speak, he cuts you off. Do you see how a taxman who shows up once a quarter is a little bit different than a taxman who lives here in the city? I live in a one-bedroom house that would burn to the ground in 10 seconds.
You know we've offered you better. You've been offered better, and you never took it. And yes, I understand the perception is bad. If you are the taxman that lives here permanently, well, maybe you could go travel for a little bit.
His nostrils flare. You are offering him a way out, but maybe not the one he desires. No way. And or Tilda. Go ahead.
No way. I'm looking at you. Tell
She
me what
makes eye
emotion is on your
contact.
face.
I think she makes eye contact with Tilda and then immediately averts her gaze as if she's been
Perfect. I'm walking over.
caught. She's closing her book and standing up.
I would sidle up to her and kind of bump my shoulder up to hers.
Good evening, Tilda.
No
It's
way.
good to see you as spirited as ever.
There's so many outsiders here. Can you believe it?
Can she believe it?
I'll chin gesture at the drow woman making a scene at the bar.
This is extremely out of character. You have lived here your entire life. You are completely unaware of any connection between this place and the Underdark, where you assume a matron mother of Menzo Baranzan would have to hail from. You have a sense of Tilda being correct. Something is out of character. Something is brewing.
I think Noe finally does look over, and although I think she's marked that there's somebody there she didn't immediately recognize, this is the first time that she's sort of allowing herself to stare. And then she turns her attention back to Tilda and says, "Word of your mother's weather reports has spread, I assume?"
Did you know that the drow are mortal enemies of the high elves? And the wood elves, I would assume.
Right as ever, Tilda.
You don't care? No, wait, come
Um,
on. Have fun with me.
She sort of looks over towards her father in a mixture of it's a little bit like frustration and guilt. And she says, I need to go talk to my father before exhaustion wears him out tonight, but if you haven't already, I would encourage you to go introduce yourself to her.
By myself? Okay, I'll do that. Okay, it's fine. I'll step away.
You step away. Under 500 feet to the north, we find ourselves somewhere different. Steel Toe guides the barge in using a long pole attached to the rudder. Approaching the dock, you can see the rear of another barge that is already parked here. Your barge follows the gentle push of the current forward. Arriving at the dock, there are a pair of stevedores wearing red jumpsuits. One is smoking a cigarette and looking out across the water. The other one is sketching the third, who is posing languidly against the dock. The man being sketched is chewing the inside of his cheek. He tucks a clipboard under his arm as he approaches the barge. The dock sways, but he does not look down at his feet. He's short, maybe shorter than he'd like, but he makes up for it with a bit of fluffy brown hair. He has a bemused expression on his face as he sizes you up. Hell, you were supposed to arrive this morning. You're Ed's runt, not Fist at all. Yeah, the lieutenant is at the tavern. Well, I know where I won't be going. This is Rick Severino. He sizes up the cargo of your barge with the high eyebrows of someone who has trouble taking all of this seriously. You're sleeping on board, hoping the taxman sleeps in. As soon as your boys turn this around, I'm gone faster than a drow in a torch shop. The cargo crane stirs to life as one of the laborers hefts herself onto the control rack. The setting sun and the torches on the dock provide just enough light to work, and Rick Severino looks between the two of you. And you two are the actions with the party.
I'm currently pretending to be a statue, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that the case is the
Still.
statue and Sporgle is chains, right? Sporgle goes, Sporgle is chains.
Steel Toe,
I'm gonna cry my makeup off.
what is that thing? He sizes you up. One moment while I roll something.
This is a good time to mention my wisdom is an 8.
Sporgle. Rick Severino sizes you up and doesn't seem to like what he sees. He leans far down, craning his neck to look down at you. He's short, but you're far shorter. Where did we get you? What is this? Are you a stowaway? How did you get
That's
here?
the pile of chains, obviously.
And you... I'm sorry, a Lithandrite? This is...
Oh, I'm not a Lithandrite. I'm a talking statue. We're a rare export. Yep.
One moment while I roll something. Steel Toe, where did you get a talking statue? The dwarf shakes his head as if he is able to somehow dispel the situation with his ignorance. it seems to fail to work. The stevedores are already working. Rick is scribbling something on his clipboard. That can't be good. It remains the party's turn.
Thinking over here. I have as many brain cells as my poor character does.
Take your time. This is a...
Is this so? This town is like a nice size for this area, but it's not an enormous town. Is this a town that would have any kind of like guard force at the dock, or is it just basically like the dock workers?
You size up the situation, Kaysen. You can discern, with no check required, that Steel Toe probably thought there would be guards, Flaming Fist guards. Instead, there's 2 stevedores and 1 guy in charge of them. There's only 3 people here. The sun is getting low in the sky. And Rick did say that Steel Toe was supposed to be here this morning. But you do a quick study of the place and decide, perhaps there should be guards, but there's not.
A little strange. There's only one man piloting this entire barge, and there's no guards over here. A lot.
As you consider, you hear cicadas and crickets. You can smell gear oil. The crane uses mechanical advantage to start moving boxes that contain limestone. As they move, a thin haze of limestone dust follows each crate and each sack.
Well, it's getting late in the day. Steel Toe, thank you so much for the ride. You've really saved my ass here. I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. You've probably got places to be, so let's just head out and let's not take up any of the dock workers' time. And Kaysen's gonna attempt to just grab onto one of the little boxes and just ride right off on the cargo crane in style. If it goes terribly, it goes terribly. But he's just going to go for complete nonchalance and hope that he baffles the dock workers into not questioning the situation.
Make a dexterity saving throw, DC 12, to attempt to ride a wooden crate on the crate, or as it is carried by the crane.
That'd be an 8.
You roll an 8. As you attempt to hold on to the box, you scramble to attempt to get up on top of it, but with your armor, it is just a little bit too unwieldy. You land with a bit of a thump back on the deck of the barge. The barge sways in the water. Steel Toe gives you an eye, but that's not the pair of eyes that is the most judgmental of you. That would be Rick Severino. You realize that he is intently staring at you, Kaysen. Make an insight check, DC 8.
Hey, finally a good roll, 12.
You pass. He is staring at your ears, Kaysen, and you notice something. He has points on his ears too, and his upper lip is quivering. You realize that he is considering his words carefully as he says, "My dad's going to want to talk to you. My dad needs to talk to you. He's going to have questions for you."
I will be happy to answer them. Don't want to cause any trouble. Not in this town.
He goes to open his mouth, and you imagine he's going to say, "I don't think you'll want to answer these kind of questions," but he doesn't complete the thought. He doesn't need to. Rick crosses his arms. What's your name?
Kaysen. Just Kaysen.
He nods his head. Unfurling his arms, he writes something on the clipboard. You need to go south. I don't know what this thing is with you, but you need to go talk to my father immediately. He's going to have a lot of questions for you. All the vigor of his voice has changed from something lighthearted to something dark. He's quivering with
Don't worry, I'll
something.
make sure this pile of chains doesn't cause any trouble.
He's almost entirely ignoring Sporgle. He's fixated on you.
Kaysen is looking on the outside, bit cheerful and goofy, but he's starting to get a little fidgety with the worries that some rumors about him might have gotten here before he did. He's hoping it's something else interesting, unrelated to him specifically.
You are filled with a sense of dread. It remains the party's turn. Steel Toe has gone to the back of the craft where he pulls a woolen blanket over his head. Rick Severino continues to write, but allows you to pass. He steps away from the gangplank, watching you both quite carefully.
Sporgle is off of this boat.
You feel
I agree with Sporkle.
You feel better immediately. Stepping on the
Yeah.
on the dock, even though it's not quite solid land, gives you the first sense of solidarity since you've gotten on the raft in the first place. And I'm sorry, you were saying something, right? Oh, do you guys have control of your tokens? You don't, do you?
I do not.
Let me see. I don't. Or
My-
it could be user error.
no, it's user error, but it's this user. How about now, my lovelies?
Let's see. Can I move? Is it this one? Aha! There it is. Yep, okay, I can move now.
You have control of your characters, and it remains your turn.
And despite all of the tenseness of the situation, Kaysen is absolutely fascinated with Sporgle.
Sporgle,
He's just a little guy.
he's rather fascinating. You have not seen many people like him before.
So I have a
Chasing like
question.
shiny things.
So Sporgle has exhaustion right now. It says that is a disadvantage on ability checks. Is that skill checks or only raw ability checks?
That's only raw ability checks. So, like,
What's a raw ability check?
a strength check, for example, or an int check,
Okay,
but
good to know.
but not a skill check, as far as I know. I wish Falmari were here; he would know. But
It's
I
true.
am okay.
Well, the Mario was here.
I love being right. Yes. So it's while you're affected by 1 point of exhaustion, you have disadvantage on a strength check, but not on an athletics check, for example.
Fantastic. Because as Sporgle is walking off, the boat swaying, he's swaying, he bumps into Rick here and steadies himself on his leg and tries to get a hand in his pocket and get something good.
Roll sleight of hand.
$16.
1 moment.
I love how much you're leaning into your character. It's inspiring me.
Your hand finds 2 things in Rick's pocket. One feels like a small leather pouch. The other has a little bit of give to it. It's something cylindrical. It's hard to tell what it is. It's squishy.
I'm going for a pouch.
You grab the pouch and somehow remain unnoticed. The pouch is in your hand. You pocket it easily. Rick thinks you've just bumped against him and looks down at you almost vertically.
Sporgle looks up and says, Sporgle not feel so good.
You know, my grandfather used to fight goblins up in the spine of the world. I thought you'd be bigger.
He makes up for it in personality. Is Sparkle, what do goblins have the same genders that I'm familiar with?
Yes.
Right.
And
So I was going to say, as soon as that altercation is done, Sporgle jets.
You do so.
I'm
He's
like hovering. I'm like
sprinting
hovering
down the
between.
game flank.
I'm hovering between. Do I follow the goblin and try to keep an eye on it, or do I try to go with this dude and because I'm apparently supposed to talk to somebody. I'm kind of trying to move in two opposite directions.
You feel, and certainly, Kaysen, this is not the last time you're going to feel this way. You feel pulled in two polar opposite directions. Sizing up the situation, though,
I feel stab of foreshadowing.
You do. You feel a deep stab of foreshadowing, and you can tell instinctively that Rick certainly does not want you here. He is working to supervise his two stevedores as they all work to attempt to unload the raw materials that are on the barge that you came down on.
As Kaysen's like jogging backwards. Hey, so where can I find your father? I will make sure that I get this unruly walking pile of chains. We'll go in that direction. Just tell us where to go. You don't need to worry about us. Unless you're following us. Okay, you're escorting us. Okay, that's fine.
He stands closer to you, and for a moment you feel a bit of kinship with him. He shakes his head. I'm not going anywhere. You need to get on the road and go south. Not that there's anywhere else for you to go.
Like how far south? Like all the way out of town south? Because I got kind of some loose ends I need to tie up.
Loose ends you need to tie up?
Yeah. Stuff. Things. Nothing nefarious. That was in the previous towns.
Rick glowers.
Just kidding.
at
I'm
you.
just kidding.
He's having a hard time telling that you're kidding. Something about you is conjuring up feelings within him that are difficult to pinpoint. Just follow the road south. You'll know it when you see it. There's 1,000 lights on every tavern here. How could you miss something like that? How?
That's a valid question, but easily.
He looks deeply troubled.
I tend to have that effect on people.
The action remains with the party.
All right, following the goblin now.
Sporgle runs up to this laborer here.
She
And-
is operating the crane. Go ahead. Yes.
And Sporgle says, "Tavern."
Good idea. Good idea, Sporgle.
She looks like she's not sure if you're talking to her at first. Holy shit, what are you? What is this thing?
Sporgle.
Are
Really
you?
get that a lot.
Can you even get into a tavern? Rick, did you see
Are you
this
of
thing?
drinking age, Sporgle?
Sporgle doesn't understand these questions.
These
I'll take that as a yes.
these customs are strange to you. There's a social interaction happening here that is just going right over your head. You have no idea what has these people so wound up. The laborer seems taken a bit by your naivete. Maybe she finds you cute. She says, the tavern. Well, you follow the road south, go over the bridge. You can't miss it. Say hi to Rand if you see him.
Will do. Thank you.
Sporgle's gone.
Trying for dear life to keep up with Sporgle. I'm gonna run up to Sporgle and look at him and go, okay, so I steal secrets, you steal shinies. That's how this goes. Feeling a sense of kinship with you.
Sporgle would not know what talk.
That's fine. That's fine.
And he is like dodging around you.
That's fine. I chatter enough for 6 people. We got this. Good man.
So
You,
as he's walking, Sporgle is checking that pouch.
checking the pouch, you find something within. Not one, but 2 gold coins.
Fuck yeah.
Nice. Sporgle gets rid of the pouch, pockets the coins.
You do so. What a clever instinct, Sporgle. You toss the worn leather pouch into the mud, hoping that someone somewhere can maybe find another use for this thing. The 2 gold crowns jingle in your pocket pleasantly. You see here evidence of industrialized forestry. The air is sharp with terpenes and limonene. In the last light of dusk, you can see the reflection of the sun on knobs of dried sap like golden medallions emerging from stumps. You hear cicadas in the distance.
Sporgle is booking it, looking for that bridge so he can get to the tavern.
Yeah, you taking 2 gold coins did not even register on my moral compass.
Feel free to, as you both are, to move quickly and decisively through these outdoor zones.
He said to go south. I'm almost positive, right?
Bridge. What the fuck is all this shit? Okay. I thought it was going this way. I thought that was a hole. That's a roof. Okay. I thought it was a hole. God damn, how do you run so fast on those little legs? What's this? Red Claw Labor. Is this the... I don't see a bridge yet. Okay.
You
Pass. Is it passes?
You size up 2 Red Claw laborers. They are sharing a bottle of mead outside of which you imagine to be their barracks. One of them says something under his breath to the other. Kaysen, roll perception, DC 14.
What do I add or subtract to perception?
Wisdom, proficiency if you got it, expertise if you got it. It's 2 for each of those. And that's it on a d20. So d20 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency if you got it.
I can't figure out where... If it doesn't show up on my character sheet, I don't have it, probably?
It means he's wrong.
Yes, if you're looking at a standard 5e fillable character sheet, there's like a little pip next to it that means you have proficiency. There's like an open pip if you have expertise. I could certainly help you, but yeah, I believe you are not proficient, so it's a straight d20 plus your wisdom modifier, which for you is a -1. Yeah,
Okay, wait, let me roll it again because I like fall.
sounds good.
17.
17. You overhear a crude remark about you. One says to the other, "Now that is a piece of ass. No wonder Ed makes bastards of them."
It's not going to be the first or the last crude or rude remark about my character. So, he's very, very used to that shit. I mean, for God's sake, I have rooster feathers in the back of my head.
And Kaysen, you turn your head a bit as you realize they may be admiring your feathers. And to the east, over the ridgeline, you hear something. Something familiar. Staccato beats, and you can picture them. Long elm drumsticks with ivory tips hitting elven war drums, perhaps 2 miles over the eastern ridgeline.
Oh, curious.
Extremely curious.
A little torn because my very rough concept of a mission is probably going to involve other elves at some point, but also I tend to rub other elves the wrong way, so I feel like I should probably gather a little more information before I go anywhere in that direction. So I'm going to keep that on my radar, but not actively go towards it. Because for now, it's booze time. And hopefully get a little booze in me before we have to answer difficult questions. We're just gonna run right by that.
You sense a future full of difficult questions. As you pass through here, you see that this bit of old growth forest has been begun to be clear cutted to the ground. Stump after stump after stump after stump suggests that this area will soon be nothing.
That is, yeah, I'm gonna lose a little sleep over that for sure. Bit of a tree hugger. That's a lot of tree stumps.
As you walk south, you detect a minor change in the wind conditions, Sporgle. You notice that it's getting more humid, cooler, as if you're getting closer to a major body of water.
Not to be deterred, Sporgle keeps on his hunt for that tavern.
Like in the one track mind.
You travel south on the road. We will revisit you momentarily. Back in the Lonesome Tankard, the actions with the party.
I would like to continue my approach to this exotic woman at the bar.
How would you make that approach?
Just walking straight up.
You walk straight up to an ancient drow matron mother.
Jesus Christ, man.
She leans a bit closer to you as you approach. Her eyes close and her ears twitch. She smells the air.
I'm Matilda of House Loch Lauren.
Ah, my perfect love. A descendant of that one. She is so important to me.
Me too.
She licks her lips.
So you're here to listen to the weather report?
She smiles enigmatically. She tilts her head. It's almost cute. Does that come as a surprise to you?
Yeah, well, I thought the drow lived underground, and I don't know if there's weather under there. I guess there could be.
Make an insight check, DC 10, in order to determine what type of weather she may have an interest in.
9.
You are just on the cusp of putting 2 and 2 together, and perhaps you can a little bit out of character. Your mother's academic journal, Biometrica, deals with a number of subjects. Some of the recent things that have been covered in Biometrica include psionics, griffin attacks, magical hail, and the magocracy of Thay.
Ooh, it's never
Kareen
good.
Kareen is looking down her nose at you. Do you know anything about what your mother knows? Does she share everything with you? Everything?
There are some things I don't want to know, but I do know a great deal. I've been studying all my life.
Studies. Me too. She sighs and relaxes for a little bit. Tilda, What a pretty name for such a young little thing. She looks like she's considering asking you something. She
So-
she pats the bar stool next to her.
I will eagerly hop onto it. So I've heard the Drow are really proficient spellcasters. There's not so much of a scrap of the weave in this town, it feels like some days. Is there some advice you can give an aspiring wizard like myself?
Proficient spellcasters. Arata Ananwe. She casts Blade Barrier.
Am I close enough that it hurts me?
We'll get to that in 1 second.
No. Godspeed.
Steel blades carve the air just above your head. The air inside the tavern swirls and swishes as if there is a contained tornado here just in front of you, and as soon as it starts, it ends. Her malevolent power is intense. Do I have any tips for an up-and-coming spellcaster, love? It's cast the strongest spells you can as often as you can.
I will
I've
subtly pull out a purple notebook with flowery engravings on it and Adate Anawe. Yeah. Adate Anawe. Continue.
I have something important to ask you, Tilda, my sweet and perfect darling. Do you know what an aboleth is?
An Isn't that an ancient psionic creature? I read about this in Volo's book.
There is one here.
In the tavern?
Somewhere very, very, very close. She reaches out and touches your cheek. And I need to find it.
Tell me what I should know. I think I could recognize one by sight if it's anything like the drawings.
You can sense something, Tilda. Your mother is glaring daggers at you from across the room. Looking over, she can see a drow woman's elegant hand cradling her daughter's perfect little chin. Things to look for. As you said, an aboleth is a formidable psionic creature. You would feel it before you saw it. Do you understand?
I do.
When you
I have
walk,
the spell message. I could let you know if I saw one.
she withdraws her hand. I would love it if you would do that for me.
I'm sorry. I don't know if this is rude. Can I have your name?
Call me Kareen.
Kareen. I'll stick my hand out as if to shake. And I'll plaster my face with a goofy smile.
Does your goofy smile hold up as she reaches out and takes your hand and kisses the back of your hand?
I probably blush.
You do so, feeling a bit embarrassed. You sense that everyone in the tavern is watching this interaction. The air finally stills. Ed stands up from the table and gestures toward the happenings at the bar here and says aloud to anyone that would listen, "Can we talk about this?"
Could Noe make an insight check to see if this drow woman intends active physical harm towards her friend?
Yeah, you can roll that. Let's see what you get and proceed from there.
Also, I cannot move my token.
One moment.
That's a 14.
14 on insight. I'll be with you in 1 second. Resolving token issues.
Probably not, because this is a tavern, right? You would think people wouldn't have the sense to just stab somebody in a tavern. That would be rude.
No way. You should have control of your token, and with your 14 on your insight, you have a sense, a profound sense, that should this drow wish to disembowel your friend, she would have done so already. If she really wanted to harm her, she would have already done so. As you approach the bar, you hear Lainey Lochlaren still murmuring to herself. You sense the eyes of your father, who looks like he's about to call out your name, but thinks better of it at the last moment. At the bar, you see Elias Kitt with a pile of parchment on the bar. Next to him is Julianne Willowstride. They look like they are just concluding some type of terse discussion.
She gives both of them a faint, polite smile and then calls over to Mikhail.
You do so, calling over to Mikhail. He steps over a carved sunmelon to approach you. He leans over the bar. Miss St. Cyr, something for you
Yes.
tonight? Something light?
Well, actually, could I get the usual for Edward and my father? I'll bring it over to them since I'm here.
I already started making your father's steak. No Beck tonight?
Mm, I thought that she planned on coming. She said as much as breakfast, but I suppose not.
Should I cut it for him then, or will you?
I will.
He nods appreciatively. Just give me 1 second, Miss St. Cyr.
I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Mikhail walks across the bar, cutting right in front of Lainey to head to the kitchen. You find yourself not so alone at the bar, no way.
So about this time, I will go ahead and stand up, and I will pat Elias on the shoulder. Elias, I like you. I appreciate you. You do a great job. I know you don't like me. I don't know why. Maybe we can mend this one day. Let me help me help you. We'll find our guy, and we'll get this all sorted out. Okay? And then after that, we can get what I need. Does that sound okay?
Contingency, as they say. He strokes his mustache as he talks. I suppose it's no surprise to me or anyone else that you just want to act out of self. You know what? Forget it, Julianne. I'm sure my point would be lost on you.
No, Elias, it wouldn't, but I know you've done great things before you've been posted to this town, and I think you still can. This is just a small hiccup. I know you hate it here, but we can be mutual about this.
Make a persuasion check, DC 10. In an attempt to win him over. Give yourself advantage.
Don't need it. 22.
22. His expression softens a bit, Julianne. You mentioned something that you wonder if this speaks to him as a person. You referenced his long, long time here. And perhaps you wonder, is he thinking back to the story that brought him here initially? The ideals that led him to Evening Star in the first place? Mm-hmm. His gaze lowers from aggression into pensiveness at your words.
Elias, when I first got here years ago, you were ecstatic when I got here. I don't know what happened. I don't know why you've come to loathe me. I am doing my job just as you do. But as I said, we can mend this. We'll figure it out.
Softened a bit. He strokes his mustache. Well, Julianne, I hope you're right. It's not like Bart to be late. I find it very hard to believe that he was held up on the road. I know he left Elturel on time. He should have been here 72 hours ago.
I agree. He is very cordial in his arrival times, so I am a tad concerned as well.
Once I have his gold, you'll get yours. Until then, I'm afraid I have nothing for you.
It's okay. We'll sort it out. We'll deal with any problems later until we can figure this out. But I'll keep the higher ups off of us. It's not the first time, won't be the last. We'll get them their money. I'll get my money. We can call it a day. Now, if you'll pardon me, Elias, I do believe our good friend Ed made a proclamation I'd like to kind of address.
Elias does not stand in your way as Mikhail comes back and places a Salisbury steak and chopped potatoes in front of you. No way. There's a large, worn steak knife and a fork that looks a bit greasy sitting on top of the steak. Your father's favorite.
She thanks him and will dutifully take it over to the table.
As you approach the table, Laird and Ed immediately stop whatever they were just talking about. Does that strike you as suspicious? In your heart of hearts, no way, were they having a suspicious conversation or merely a private conversation?
I think in her heart of hearts, she is a little bit offended. This may have been acceptable when she was a child, but now that she is a land-owning adult, she expects now to be cut in on whatever these private conversations are.
Care to take an optional reaction and guess whether or not they were talking about you? Should you pass, you may gain additional insight into the conversation from the few words that you heard. Get it
Yeah,
wrong. Okay. Do you think they were talking about you?
Yes.
They were. There is much ado in this town in terms of who is Laird's heir. Your older sibling, Joe, or you? You wonder if maybe Ed has a preference. Nonetheless, as you approach the table, your father offers you a wary smile. It's been a tough couple of days with him, and you wonder if he's eager to mend the wound.
Good evening, Father. I thought Mother would be here as well, she says, sitting down, arranging the plate, and starting to cut into the steak.
As you sit down, his smile becomes warmer. He's pleased to see that you weren't simply going to walk past him or throw the plate at him or any number of other things that he has certainly run through his mind in the past few days. You know your father is a contingency planner. You know that he is a worrier and an overthinker, and you can't imagine that he hasn't dreaded this conversation. His warm smile when he realizes your peaceful disposition seems to grant him peace. And he must be having a sentimental day, because here he goes, peppering in the celestial, as he says, "No way, my perfect filiola. Ah, celestial for little daughter." Ed watches as you start to cut the steak. Perhaps he's used to doing that for his friend. Roll an insight check. DC 18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a 3.
There's a strange look in Ed's eye that you'll never understand.
Was Mother feeling too tired to join the two of you tonight?
Tired of Ed, perhaps. Certainly not tired of you or me. She's never been a big fan of the weather report. I think she thinks that Lainey is, at best, a witch. I'm not surprised to see her tonight, but we'll see her when we go home.
Mm.
His smile warms a bit. Do you think we should bring her something?
Oh, well, perhaps if they have any of apple pie left, she might be amenable to that.
From behind his torso, his right arm twitches uncomfortably. He winces. He tries to steady his gaze. That would be nice, no way. He sounds pained.
And how is business otherwise with the two of you?
They look between each other. Laird, but Ed is already answering. Noe, let me clue you in. We don't know anything until we get the weather report, so we know when we can pick the sunmelons. Remember that? That's me doing the hard work for you. In fact, one of my men called in sick for tomorrow. Want to put some boots on, pick some melons, fertilize some land, pull a cart?
She sort of
to your
clears her
surprise-
throat. Yeah.
To your surprise, your father doesn't intervene.
He doesn't. I think she sort of self-consciously sits a little more upright, continues cutting the steak and say, well, if that's what it will take this year, I might actually be able to do so. And she sort of self-awkwardly, self-consciously trails off.
Ed fills the silence with a laugh. I don't think you've ever had a callus in your life. I'd be amazed if you could pull anything anywhere, let alone a 200-pound sunmelon in a cart. Laird looks like he wishes he could put his hand on Ed's forearm, but instead settles for giving him a flip of his head. Sorry.
I think Noe flushes, and for a moment, it actually does look like she may cry, but she takes a deep breath and just continues going on. This is not an irregular kind of conversation, but she's never figured out exactly how to fend for herself without her father or somebody else stepping in.
So speaking of stepping in, about this time, Julian will sit down next to Ed. When Laird had a wince of pain, can I by chance notice that?
Not only do you notice it, Julianne, but you are accustomed to it. Having lived in Evening Star for several years, you are used to witnessing the slow degradation of Laird's condition. Laird is afflicted with some type of ataxia, and his hands, at best, are fairly useless for him. At times, he experiences crippling pain. His hands grasp each other behind his back, and it gets worse every year. You have provided him in the past with healing potions that provided no help, painkillers that helped perhaps a little bit, merely in the sense of alleviation. You have a long history of trying to help him with this condition. So not only do you notice it, you are fairly attuned to it.
Laird dear, you feeling okay? If you want to come by later, I have something else that maybe can help. I'm still working on it. Maybe I'll figure it out soon. I'm on the precipice of a couple of ideas. I just need to find an ingredient.
Laird looks over at you very suddenly. He was listening the entire time, but your last clause there truly captures his attention, and he says, "On the precipice of something magnificent. I know that feeling well, Julianne, and if there's anything I could do to help you, obviously I would be overwhelmingly interested. Is there something you need? I certainly have adequate resources. What can I do to facilitate you?"
There's a couple things. I just want to confirm before I commit to anything, and I don't want to exhaust your resources. So let me get back to you with that, probably in a moon or two. But I actually wanted to talk to Ed here.
Talk.
So, Ed, well, first of all, about pulling the wagons, the only thing that, well, never mind. I'll keep that to myself.
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
But now, we've talked plenty of times about your proclamation earlier about what's going on over in the corner. So, well, what's bugging you? What's wrong with this situation?
Well, let's see. We have a drow stabbing herself at the bar. That doesn't raise any alarm bells for you. This doesn't seem like a problem to you. It seems like a problem to me. How is this? How is this hard to understand?
Well, I mean, it's certainly better to stab yourself than the women around town. But
Helm, do you think she's going to be limited to stabbing herself?
she hasn't done anything else. Sure, she's odd, but other than that, she seems perfectly fine to me. Drower. Bit of the eccentric type. Now, I know you haven't been out of this area much, but people do have other types of personalities.
What did you just say to me? I haven't been place. Lieutenant, your ignorant hireling is over here troubling me. Will you please reel her in? Elias Kit understands this is rhetorical and ignores this. It was meant as a slight for you.
Now, again, we talked about this. People are different. It's okay. Doesn't matter about their ears. I know you get a little upset about them.
Ed leans in hard. What did you just say about ears?
I said you're not a fan of them. I've mentioned this to you before. I know you have it committed to memory.
His nostrils flare. His famously short temper seems like it's about to erupt. And we will come back momentarily.
So this is the guy that has questions for me.
Correct. And we will
Oh,
find...
he seems like he's in a great fucking mood.
I will say before we cut away that Noe is looking at Julian with a look of clear gratitude. She thinks that she's helping in this conversation.
We're gonna get there. He's already gonna be worked up. We're so fucking good.
Sporgle. Kaysen. You find yourselves traveling south. As you approach, you can see the outline of buildings just over the horizon. You see torches and an overall halo of light suggesting habitation and civilization. You can smell something as you approach. This is closer than the town. Both of you have an acute sense of smell. You can sense
See weird things on the map.
You can. We will get to that in 1 second. You can smell some weird things too. Smells like creosote. Smells like gear oil. It reminds you of what you just smelled on the docks. It smells like. Actually, do either of you have. One moment, let me consider here.
My countenance immediately changes just from the simple fact of smelling something burning.
That's exactly it.
Stiffens a little bit.
Yes.
Walks with a little bit more tightness in his form.
It is a bit nerve wracking, smelling something you associate with fire, incendiary ammunition, things like that. Something seems a bit off here. And you realize that someone is studying you quite openly here. The sun is getting ready to set, it's almost fully down in the sky. And there's someone standing there, digging a hole in the earth.
It's a little
He's up.
sus.
He's up on a little hillock. He has one torch to keep him company, and when he sees you, he grins.
Fine evening we're having. You dig holes for fun? Is it a trade? You made a motion with your hand. I couldn't tell what you're doing.
I did. This person, this figure, is beckoning you closer. It's as if he couldn't hear you. You're nearly 60 to 80 feet away. He's calling you closer and closer. Your boots crush little flowers as you cross the open field.
I kind of delicately, briefly rein Sporgle in the opposite direction of the tavern as I'm just kind of peering over at this dude.
Borgle can smell food, and he is fighting for his life.
Just like holding Sporgle by the scruff of the neck.
You do your best to restrain Sporgle as he wants to go a completely different direction
Just
as you.
flailing.
Could we maybe, is now a good time, may we take our 5-minute break now and then resume when we get back? Okay. I'll be back momentarily. Hi. Hi. Ari.
That is for testing not one, but two different Carmelita recipes before you receive them.
Ah,
Two,
I
which
haven't
is special.
I haven't eaten anything in so long. I'm so hungry.
Like hungry, but like, are you like still feeling like too wired to eat? Or
Yeah,
I feel
definitely.
that.
Yeah. That's how it always. I This is one of the ways in which I like deal with, and this is like a positive thing. Bless you. One of
Thank
the
you.
like positive ways in which I like deal with like this type of stress, which is good stress, is like I kind of like naturally fast. You know, like I don't really get hungry and I just drink a ton of water and drink a ton of coffee.
I can feel you. I mean, it's honestly good for us, anyways.
Definitely. Did Dave just score food? I just saw him carrying something.
Where is his cat?
Did we just tilt our head at the same time? Yeah, I don't know where I don't know where his cats are.
David, 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 David. Where's your cat? Where cat?
They knocked over something upstairs when I was downstairs and made a huge crash, and now they're both downstairs.
Oh,
And I
that
have
is
no idea what
sweet.
it is.
As is the way with cats. My son has not been invited up to this house again because he got himself stuck in the walls for 2 days
Son?
and refused to come out. My cat son. He got himself stuck in the walls and then wouldn't come out.
What a moron.
He's a stinky boy. Speaking of moron, I'm having so much fun getting into my character. It's fun. It's very fun.
Kason comes very naturally to you, which is good.
He does. He does. He's an aspect of me. He's the moron aspect of me.
Every NPC in this game started out as a nucleus of a thought I had about myself or things related to me. So when I want to channel an NPC, sometimes I just have to think about something that like you know like personally makes me mad or whatever, and then I can sort of prototype that to a character.
My character is just like a little, just a. He's a lot of things.
And he's going to develop into so much more. That's what I love about this style of campaign is that what you have now is scaffolding for the future. Wait until he's tested. Wait until Kaysen has to cross bridges, you know, both literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, he's afraid of heights too. But
Sounds familiar.
I like the idea of a character that is too scatterbrained, too energetic, not really wise or smart enough, to really have a clear plan of where he's going, and he's only guided by two vectors chasing something and running away from everything following him, which are both pointing in the same direction, which is anywhere but here.
I think those kind of vectors, things that push you along a route, are very strong for like level one, session one kind of character ideas. Joe, what's your lamp? The lamp is so cool. Is it a moon? Is it moonful?
Oh, I
Lucky
love it.
Selenites.
It's my little Salune moon
Oh my
That
god, I love
lamp.
it.
that's what I was hoping, but I didn't want to presume.
I love it.
Well, we are Salune worshippers, are we not?
We doing
Some of
heavy
us.
lifting in this sentence.
Yes, we doing some pretty heavy lifting.
Were you shaking a jar of salsa? What was that?
Yeah, it's a big jar of salsa.
So Sporgle,
Organ.
Mm-hmm.
This,
that's
this,
all.
this is why me not being a push to talk is bad because you have to listen to me go Sporgan and other similar stupid things that you normally miss. But yeah,
Sporks.
I'm so pro Sporgle.
Everyone should be, right?
Well, that might get tested.
I guarantee it will.
Can you guys hear Sebastian in the background? There's a fat ass lab that lives across the street, and when he barks, like I swear to God, it shakes the road. It just reverberates through the chalk. It's a good boy. Did I tell you that a fucking dog came in my house today?
No.
Like, not my dog. So I
What
thought
happened?
did I send you a picture?
I
Did I
don't
send you a
think so.
picture?
I don't think so.
I'll send it later. But someone was walking their dog off the leash, and I just saw a dog run down the street. I'm like, oh my God, come here, puppy. And she just ran right over. I'm like, hi, do you need water? Where's your owner? And she just came inside, laid down, and was like, I'm ready for belly rubs, and just laid down in my house. And then she started walking around. I'm like, you can't be in here, bro.
This is
Your owner was right outside, but it was unhinged.
Clearly, he can be in there.
that is unhinged behavior, especially if he knew that his dog was just walking into your house.
Yeah, I was like, I heard someone calling. I couldn't figure out where, and my mom managed to run into her. But yeah, there was a whole dog in my house. Doggy. She was very cute. Apparently, it's the people that live across to the right.
I like how he could tell he's not supposed to be there. This last picture suggests something about his movement. Tells me that he knows he's trespassing vaguely.
The dog kept kind of doing one of these little numbers, like kind of slithering.
Perhaps what we could do, because we are with our outsiders on the road anyway, is we can hop back in and grind at that while Sarah fixes her headset. Sounds cool.
Oh, having sound troubles.
I'm confident she will get it figured out. In the meantime, Sporgle and Kaysen, you're being eyed up
Borgen.
by a unique individual. His garb is very simple. He looks like what you would generally call a commoner, Kaysen. You have little concept of this Sporgle, but he definitely seems to have a strange way about him. And as you approach, he settles into a interesting... Welcome back, Sarah. He settles into an interesting set of expressions. Both of his arms rise up as if he's holding the entire firmament of Faerun above his head.
I'm like tightening my grip on Sporgle, and I'm just like kind of hissing out of the corner of my mouth, like, just 60 seconds. I just want to know what is going on over here, and then I swear to God, we will go to the tavern. Just give me 60 seconds. The curiosity.
You are very lucky that Sporgle has exhaustion, because otherwise,
Or he would bite me.
there's no way you would be able to keep this boy down.
The Sporgle bite.
Probably, I would have to imagine yes.
Casey's kind of just like holding him, like kind of like this, like please don't bite me, please don't bite me. Can I tell what's in the hole? How deep it is? What other stuff does he have around it?
These are excellent questions, Ari. Let's do them one at a time. Can you peer into the hole? As you approach, he seems eager to let you. He steps out of the way silently, still holding his hands aloft. Looking inside, you see something. It is a large clay sphere, about yay size, with plugs on either side of it. There is a strong...
I was kind of expecting something more suspicious.
It doesn't seem particularly suspicious. It appears to be made out of terracotta. There's a strong smell here, almost like... Let me think of something that would connect with you. Almost like heavy plant fertilizer.
Okay, so not like Hawaiian pork cooked under the ground. No, not food.
No, there is nothing food-like here, and you have no concept of Hawaii. You, as you approach,
Tropical.
Tropical is perfect. Yes, he has an easy smile. He's eager to show you these things. He's welcoming. He has a friendly, open disposition. He is no threat, and you see no weapon on him. As you approach and try to look into his hole, he steps aside to allow you to survey. He says, It's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad to make your acquaintance tonight. What finds the two of you out here? I have questions for you too, but it seems like you may have some for me first.
So,
Be at
so when he
ease.
says, "What brings you out here?" I imagine like so. Kaysen has like Sporgle like this, and Sporgle is kind of like, like swerving back and forth, and as he comes around to face the guy, he goes,
Rotating.
"Yeah, exactly," and then he's back
Just
around again.
slowly rotating. Oh, okay.
You're looking.
Immediately tavern. But yeah, I'm not sure what this little guy's long-term goals are. But yeah, tavern eventually. But just a little curious. Usually people don't dig holes at night. Usually if you're gonna dig a hole, you can do it during the daytime. So just
I
curious.
prefer to work via torchlight. You're eager. You're
Valid.
curious. These are wonderful qualities to have, and they may serve you very well in these lands. You don't look like you're from around here, and in that way, you might be a special benefit to someone like me.
Sorry if I'm coming off a little weird. I'm just like not used to people receiving me like
You're
warmly. So
you're
it's a pleasant surprise.
you're not coming off weird at all. You are welcome here. This land is yours as well. I stride these lands as you should, confidently. We are both in each other's bedroom, effectively. This land is ours. It's yours too. Welcome. Thank you. I see you're interested
Well met.
in my work. It's my life's work. I'm so eager to share something like this with you. You said curious. You're curious about things. I would be too. You said strange. It's strange to dig holes at night. All of this comes naturally to me, and my hope is that someday it can come naturally to you too.
I wonder how many mushrooms this guy is on and if I can have some.
He
Not gonna
seems,
ask that out loud though.
however, you notice something chilling, Kaysen. You don't say it out loud. You think it. It merely crosses through your mind, and he responds instantly in your mind. I'm not on anything at all. Roll insight. Roll insight.
Maybe I'm the one that
DC
ate something weird.
16. DC 16 insight.
He's scratching his head like, did I eat something? Maybe it was the ship. Alright, my insight. Oh dear, that's a 6.
Something is different about this person, but it's nearly impossible to put your finger on.
He's gonna try to not outwardly react at all, other than a slight shift of the facial expression. Not gonna react as if he hadn't. He's gonna react as if he hadn't heard anything. So he's much more curious now than he was before.
The man makes eye contact with you. He nods warmly. Curiosity is normal, he says verbally. It's okay. It's a different feeling. It's normal. It's natural. Nothing is wrong. Be at ease. Come, look. Gaze upon my work. You don't trouble me.
Gonna kind of look out of the corner of my eye towards Sporgle, see if he looks like he's also hearing voices suddenly.
Sparkle board.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, Sporgle. Just give me a minute.
Oh.
I'm gonna take a leap of faith and dare to step close enough to be within pushing distance of a hole, which is not a place I would like to be.
You step closer to the hole. Your sense of dread intensifies a bit as you realize that this is a caisson-shaped protuberance taken from the earth. But as you expect a hand to come pushing you and shoving you in, nothing happens. Instead, the man extends a hand and gently places it on your pauldron. He gestures down into the hole. This is a seed pod. I am a druid. You can
He's gonna just very, very gently, not necessarily remove his hand from him, but just kind of shift it to a different spot, because he's touchy about that spot.
You do so, moving his hand. For a long moment, your hand touches his, and he seems pleased by this encounter. He leans down, looking at you, Sporgle. Little one, you're so far from home. Why are you visiting me here?
Sporgle hungry.
Hunger. I feel it too. I feel it every day of my life. He kneels down, taking a knee and looking you eye to eye, Sporgle. I think you're destined for something far greater than eating dinner here, little goblin.
Sporgle's like nodding his head energetically.
The man nods in return. He's easygoing, warm, convivial. I'd like to ask the two of you a question or two, if your time permits.
We can make time.
You can make time. Thank you. He leans forward and sniffs the air. You two came from a barge.
Is it that obvious?
What was that barge carrying? It's okay.
Sporgle,
you can
Sporgle's
tell me.
eyes like kind of slit, and he goes, "Sons."
Change.
There was rocks. There's a lot of rocks. Limestone.
Rocks. Yes.
Oh, definitely rocks.
Rocks. Whitish ones? Heavy ones? Do you remember what they smelled like?
It was kind of mostly just smelling goblin barf. It's kind of hard. It overpowers a lot of other stuff. It's kind of hard to smell over goblin barf. I think it was limestone.
Our base instincts sometimes get the better of us. Goblin, I apologize for the troubles on your journey.
Sporgle has no response for that.
You hear a little voice in your head reminding you, it's okay. It's okay. So, limestone came in on the barge. How wonderful to hear.
It was a bit of an impressive journey. It was a very big ship to be crewed by one dwarf. We weren't really much help. I'm not much of a ship person. Kind of expecting more.
I've always been fascinated by the idea of an undercrewed ship. Fascinating, isn't it? Can you still make it to your destination if you don't have the proper crew? And what if you do? Did you need the crew to begin with? A lot of philosophical questions arise on a long journey.
Questions like that tend to get me into trouble.
You don't know the half of it. I think you can do something for me. Doesn't that sound nice? Favors among friends. I know this land well. and I have a simple, simple task for you. Without waiting for a response, as you consider, he stands back up from looking you in the eye, Sporgle, and instead his eyes settle on you, Kaysen. I want you to find my man here in the town. His name is Rain, as in rain of fire. Can you remember that?
I will remember it better than what was on the ship. Committing that to memory. Should I send him over to your fascinating seed hole or somewhere else?
You should give him a message for me. Tell him that time is running short. Tell him that I need him. Would you do that for me, stranger?
I will do that. I plan on being here for quite some time, so I'm sure I will run into him. Would you be able to tell me by chance if there's some kind of library in town, or just archives, that kind of thing?
A library, archives. I know that there is a strange woman who dwells there who her house is stacked full of books. I suspect that'll be the closest thing you find to a library. Loch Lauren, her name is. She's peculiar, difficult. I recommend a tactful approach should you wish to see her books. And despite her outer appearance, don't trust her.
Noted. Oh, and what is your name that I should give to this rain? If you mentioned it already, it slipped my mind. The span of a fish.
You can call me Des.
Well, that does. I will do that. Thank you.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Saving throw. I don't like the sound of that.
Both of us?
Just Kaysen. Just him. For now.
11? 11.
11. You have a strange sensation, Kaysen. You didn't tell him your name. He took it from your mind. With a little bow. Fare thee well, Kaysen. Again, remember, rain, rain, rain of fire. Tell him that I need him.
I will get right on that. Right after I get a couple beers in me.
Then fare thee well, and be safe on the road.
You as well. Okay. Sporgle, I think it's beer time.
Oh. Do you put him down?
I will put Sporgle down.
He's gone. He ain't getting caught again.
As I'm like struggling to keep up with this tiny creature, I'm like, so was he scratching your brain too? Was he like talking inside your head? Such as me.
Sporkle does stop at that. He just looks.
Has someone been scratching your brain, Sporgle?
No, absolutely not. And he just keeps moving.
It's possible that it could just be me. I might have eaten something weird. I don't go on boats very often, so it might have just been the journey that did it to me. I mean, I do probably eat mushrooms that I shouldn't be eating. Yeah, we're just gonna chalk that up to a weird night. Weird night.
You begin to doubt yourself.
Not the first or the last time.
A small flock of bats flies overhead, catching your attention momentarily, and you realize something. High in the sky, you can see the outline of a griffin making slow, high circles, hunting with the last of the light.
Hey, Sporg, I feel like you're snack sized. That might be a problem.
Sporglefast.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's not dilly dally. That's someone else's problem. Adding that to the list of things I should tell people tonight.
As you approach the south, you notice something. The trees here are all clear cut. Make a history check. DC 10, both of you.
What do I add for history?
Int,
Add or subtract?
int, and any if you're same thing as like a perception roll. If you're proficient, add 2. If you have expertise, you add 4.
You sure this is a history check Sporkle would be privy to?
I defer to your expertise on this, and you're right. You may want to either sit this out or give yourself disadvantage.
I'll take disadvantage, sure.
I think that's good. And as always, Lat, I appreciate your insight into shaping these checks.
It's a 4.
Yeah, I got a 1.
Both of you realize that the trees here were clear cut, but you cannot grasp what the purpose could possibly be. As you approach this bridge, you notice a couple things. One, the wind is more intense here. You must be in the river valley. The wind is moving west to east, along with the water that you can hear bubbling below a narrow bridge that leads toward a town that is getting closer and closer.
I wonder if it might be for like a fire, like for wildfire purposes, or maybe just for visibility. But what would people need to see across the bridge?
Kason, here in the river valley, you can hear those drums again. Something's carrying them down the water. They're far away, but not that far.
The drums are on coming down the river, like on boats.
That you're not sure about. They're coming from the east. That's all you know. You can hear them as you're heading south. Your left ear twitches. You can hear something out of your left ear, and turning to look and ascertain, both your ears perfectly aligned. You can hear them. Those are war drums, certainly. That's the kind of thing you'd hear on March if you're outside of Mithranor. Drill drums.
Oh dear.
Something from a military formation. An encampment, perhaps. Hard to say. You don't have much of a reference point for where you are right now. And the sun is getting lower and lower in the sky.
That's probably something that we might want to warn some people about. Gonna continue booking it with Sporgle. I'm gonna have more pressing things on my mind. I'm gonna just kind of give up on trying to convey to the goblin the concept of like an elvish war party, and I'm just gonna try to mash this little dude's speed over here and keep an eye out for anybody who looks like they have an important job in the town that I could maybe just ask what the fuck's going on. And I'm assuming there's just kind of no one out here at this hour of night except for our little psionic friend.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? However, someone important suddenly appears. As you approach the bridge, on the far side there is a battlement, a bunker meant to overlook the bridge itself. And as you approach, a head with a beautiful mane of silver hair peers overhead. The next thing you see is a sword glowing white that he holds aloft to have a better vision of you. You hear a voice, young but calm and confident. Halt! And we cut back to the Lonesome Tankard.
I like go like this, stop sport.
My friends at the Tankard, The weather report getting close. As you look around, you can sense the light being drawn out of the world around you. Noe, you're cutting your father's steak. Julienne, you were about to confront Ed again, I believe. Tilda, still entranced with the beautiful drow lady.
So
Actions required.
while Julienne is distracting Ed in her own way, I think Noe turns to her father and gaze still lowered to the plate where she's preparing. She says, I know as well as you do that this conversation is uncomfortable, but we must resolve the issue of protecting Zanaya.
As soon as you say Zanaya's name, your father takes a deep breath and a sigh.
You know Mother would prefer if we could resolve this ourselves before we return home tonight.
Yes, no way. You've never been more correct about anything in your life. Your mother would be thrilled if only we were able to mend this. Noe, do you know what a truffle is?
It's a sort of mushroom.
It is. And you may not know this, but Evening Starens have attempted to domesticate truffles for as long as we've been here. They command a high price. They're exotic. They're wonderful. We could ship them down the river too. They're certainly more per pound than a sun melon, but truffles only grow in the wild. A truffle is a wild thing, just like a unicorn. It cannot be caged. It cannot be domesticated. You cannot put a fence around it and expect it to stay. Do you understand?
I don't understand what you think the purpose of this barrier is. You know as well as I do that Zanaya is wounded and would not survive out in the wild for very long.
You don't know that. Your speculation is, frankly, it's dangerous, Philia. How do you think unicorns survive in the wild? There's no me there to heal them. They have a complex society. These are intelligent creatures. This is not a horse with a broken leg. This is a creature of myth that embodies everything pure in the world.
Do you believe that we should be so separate that they should never even come in contact with us?
I'm not saying that.
We have the ability to heal her, to help her heal. I'm not saying that this needs to be forever. As you said, I don't know. I simply don't know. I just want to give her the best chance that I can, and I earnestly believe that if we can just give her a couple of months to heal, not only would it give her a better chance, but it's a rare blessing that a unicorn even comes in contact with us. We have a responsibility towards them to preserve that relationship.
I agree with one thing you said, Noe, and that you should feel blessed that you had any of this interaction to begin with. Did you know that Josan has been seeking unicorns their entire life? When when they were younger, they would go in the forest south of town and try to set unicorn traps and make unicorns out of wood, carving horns with a little whittling knife. Josan would have done anything to have the brief experience that you did. Can you not count yourself lucky that you've had what you had?
For the longest time, she was my only friend. I don't understand why that has to stop now. She is still my friend, and I would still treat her as one.
Your father looks as if he wishes that he could embrace you. His right arm twitches behind his back. Instead, he settles for placing his head gently on your shoulder.
Despite the emotion of the conversation, Noe does tilt her head against his. Still, her shoulders are a little bit shaky, but I think with this physical reassurance, she's able to once again not start crying on the spot.
You feel that you have worn down a bit of his resolve. He nods gently. Okay. In the morning, you and me, we're going to talk to Andre. He points toward Mikhail, who's behind the bar, who gives a little wave.
The man who runs the stables, yes.
That's exactly right. He maps the region. That's what he's always doing on the horses, basic cartography. And if there's someone who knows where things have gone in this great big world of ours, I suspect that it must be him. We will talk to him. We will help him find tracks. We will source anything we can to help your unicorn, your symbol. Everything that is beautiful in this world deserves to be protected. I understand that.
She takes a deep breath, and even though this is not the perfect solution that she wanted, she does nod after a moment and say, "Thank you, Father." We'll see together what can be done.
Laird sits up and sighs. You sense that he's wondering how he's going to deliver this news to your mother, who has generally had an expectation that you would grow out of your fanciful ideas about having a unicorn of your own. You sense the burden he must shoulder when he has to talk to his wife tonight. Tilda, what's going on over there?
I am asking Korean about drow culture. So tell me, I know about Menzoberranzan, but are there other big cities in the Underdark?
Do you stop her from touching you?
No, not at all.
She places a single finger to your lips and says, Mesobaranzan. Speak like me. Baranz.
Menzoberranzan.
Yes.
I'll pull out my notebook and write a little bit. Menzoberranzan.
You do so. Are there other settlements below the surface? At my last count, there are 46 major drow cities in the Underdark, my love. Why? Planning a vacation to the most beautiful part of the world?
I would love to see Menzoberranzan.
You would, even if you don't know the full grasp of what you're saying. You would love to see it. Giant bioluminescent mushrooms that can illuminate a cave as tall as 1,000 of you. Umber hulks pressed into service. Architectural wonders that far surpass anything you've ever seen on the surface, my love. She's looking down as she rubs her bracer.
So when you find this aboleth and bring it home, are you done around here?
I'm not going to bring it home. I am going to kill it in Lolth's name and ascend to be the avatar of Lolth.
Oh,
All right.
that's exciting.
Actually, it is. Not the response I expected from you, young one, but you're right. My entire life, over 1,000 years, has led me here to be tested in this way. I must tell you something. I am so bored of all of this. This is how I get out of here. This giant aboleth, 40 feet long. Where could it be?
So does it know the spell invisibility? Is that why you can't find it?
It knows so much more than petty invisibility. Much like me, it can command untold divine power. I have no doubt that it could be shrouded, hidden, certainly employing subterfuge in some way.
It must feel really nice to be close to your life's purpose.
That is exactly right. Yes, you truly understand me. Yes, finally, the challenge I've desired my entire life. Do you see what I go through here? No matter what I do, no one challenges a matron mother. I am so bored of people parting in my way. I am so tired of my reputation preceding me, my love. If there is anything I could do in the world, it would just be for once someone challenging me or standing up to me. And this aboleth, this greasy, awful psionic creature, is the only thing. In its very existence, it defies me. I must find it. And it's right here, close to us.
How
And
long have you been hunting this creature?
how old are you?
17.
Tens of your lifetime, then. This is my life's work, and it's here. And your mother, beautiful as she is, has the secrets in her head.
You know, I've read that drow are dangerous, but you don't seem that dangerous to us.
I would never endanger someone like you. You're no threat to me, and you're rather pretty. She smiles.
You think so? I always thought I was rather plain, but I'm so glad you think so. Maybe I would do well in Menzo Baranzan.
Very good. Much better the second time. You'll get it.
I'll pass the baton.
You pass the baton. She languidly leans back against the bar, smoldering with anticipation.
I don't like what's going on in chat.
Actually, could I call Mikhail over? Mikhail, how do you want to pronounce it? How would I know that he's addressed? I get to make it up. Mikhail.
She pronounces it the correct way.
Mikhail strides towards you. Having seen you grow up in this town and knowing you quite well, he has a sympathetic look, and you wonder if he's been eavesdropping on your conversation with Kareen the entire time. He leans across the bar. He looks at you with the interest of a bartender who seeks to keep his clientele, and certainly from one of the most prominent families in town, happy. He says, yes.
Could I get a cup of the Suzerainian Red? I think our guest here would really like it.
As you wish, Lady Lockaran.
I will slide a coin on the table.
You do
And
so.
as I do it, I will askance this drow woman to see her reaction to all of this. I feel important.
She's smiling. It's fun to buy a girl a drink, isn't it? Mikhail takes your 3 silver, slides them into his apron, and pours a glass of a ruby colored Suzerainian red into the glass with a flourish and a tilt. He sets the glass in front of Kareen, who wraps 2 fingers around the stem delicately. She takes a respectful drink and tests the astringency with her palate. Inoffensive, my love. Not good, but it doesn't offend me. Thank you.
When you become Wolf's avatar, will you, I guess, go to the abyss? Is that where she is?
My dear young one, physical form, places, these are all minor points in my future. I don't care where I am, I care about what I will be. I will be on every plane simultaneously, in your head, in his and hers. If I find what I'm looking for here, do you understand the power that I will wield? True resurrection, complete power, Lolth's avatar.
It sounds really exciting. And listen, if I see this aboleth, I'll be sure to message you. I'll just think it into your mind. It'll be perfect. I'm totally rooting for you.
What did you just say? You will think it into my mind.
Yeah, I have this spell message.
A spell. Message. Where did you learn it, my love?
I learned it in a book. My mother purchased it for me. It's a cantrip book. I started practicing them late at night.
Your mother.
I'll produce my notebook.
Your
Yeah,
your pink spell book.
Yeah, purple.
Purple
Yeah.
spell book.
Yeah, it's like it's in the mail. It's like a youthful, like embroidered with butterflies, becoming books type thing. You know the style.
I do.
I'm
Kareen,
very proud of this. This is a very small town, and this is all I can do. But I have greater designs like you. One day.
greater designs. I have never heard a better phrase in my entire life, little one. You know so much beyond your years. The idea of having a greater purpose, the idea of scratching something more. If you deliver this aboleth onto me, I can teach you something that is as your message spell, but 1,000 times grander. Message will be laughably simple to you when I am done with you.
I will gulp nervously and put my hands on the bar and look at my fingers.
You look at your fingers, wishing that the drow was looking at anything but you, but nonetheless her gaze persists. She leans back against the end of the end of the bar where the wall meets the bar, and tosses her dagger gently up in the air, catching it and staring at you. At the gate of Evening Star on the northern bridge,
These are like too uncomfortable to keep on the whole time. But I'll put them on. I see. There's a lot going on here.
please amuse yourself for 2 to 3 minutes while I figure out why I can't load this map in Roll20.
Okay, so taking out of character, metagaming here. Aboleth in town. psionic in town. It's a troubling combination.
Could just be a thrall. Aboleths are older than Toril.
What's the alignment of an aboleth? It's been a while since I've thumbed through Monster Manual.
Without looking, chaotic evil.
Without looking, I agree.
Is it like on the devil demon spectrum or just a
Oh.
monster?
It's like
Aberration, I believe.
Yeah,
Aberration.
aberration.
in the cosmology of Forgotten Realms. There's like the gods and the crystal spheres, and then there's like the planes with the demons and the devils, and then outside of that, older than that, there's like Cthulhian horrors,
The Far Realm.
the far realm, the elder ones. So an aboleth comes from beyond the crystal spheres. It existed before the crystal sphere that holds Toril. Anyway, I promise you this is Tilda telling you.
I really like Kareen as this, like, you have that edgelord character who's sitting alone in the tavern in their hooded cloak, tossing a knife up in the air, and she stabs herself through the hand. It's very funny.
That is
On
The
behalf
rest of
of,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, on behalf of all of us, thank you for crafting this character. We're all enjoying Kareem. We love a scary drow.
We do.
She's not so
There's-
scary.
Yes. I'll spare my editorial for right now because I fixed the map. So 1 second.
Okay.
I was just hoping for a little library trip. There's too much going on here.
On
Are
the,
those melons?
they look like they might be. Looking across the way, you can see a field, and in that field, you can see massive melons. They are easily 5 to 10 feet long in places, and even from hundreds of feet away, you can see the bounty of the fields. But in a far more pressing situation, you see a young, silver-haired man holding his glowing white sword above his head, calling out to you. He has a pleased expression on his face, as if you've fallen into his little trap. He says, with a big toothy smile and a zest for his job, "Hail and welcome to Evening Star, laborers, wharf rats, envoys of Selune, envoys of Shar."
Sparkle.
What? What is...
I'm not exactly sure what a sporgle is, but a sporgle. Kason, want to be paladin, but more pressingly hungry and harmless.
I want to be a paladin. This is so perfect. Oh my god. This... Salune's light. I've always wanted this to happen. You have to... Hold... Come. Come across the bridge. I don't even care. Please. Do you...
looking behind him to make sure the fucking griffin's not following?
You look over your shoulder, and eager to see the griffin, you can see far up in the sky, hundreds of feet up there, there is in fact a wild griffin doing little circles. You hope it doesn't see you.
I'm like kind of looking between the dude and the griffin. Like, is this like a normal accepted thing for the town? Is this a problem?
He has set his sword down and is scrambling down the battlements, going around the back eager to meet you.
I might come zooming in on the map under here. Oh, there he goes.
He disappears for a moment. You're unable to see him.
As Sporgle trying to spork along.
Not just yet.
He runs over. He is extremely vigorous. Everything about him suggests action, action, action. As he approaches, you realize that he's left his sword up on the battlements. His hands are free. It's as if he wants to grab something. He has everything about him suggest fidgeting. He says, "Oh my God." You are a paladin. This is so exciting. What oath have you taken? Where are you from? Oh my god, my mom is going to be so excited. Oh my god, this is
don't
so
get
great.
too excited. I'm
Oh my god, are you a Selenite? Oh my god, Our Lady, the Moon Maiden? Our Lady of the Moon? The white of the sky?
different light. You're getting close. You're getting close. Light of the sky. Think a different time of day.
A different time of day. Morning, dinner time. Lunchtime. Wait.
On her.
He sees the suns.
Like your energy, but I'm probably
on
gonna
your
disappoint you.
Lathander?
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
What were you, out of ideas? Oh, that's so sad for you. I feel so bad. Oh my gosh.
Just get it all out. Just get it all out.
It was nice while it lasted.
Yeah. I know. It's a lot of work to become a paladin for God that's never gonna answer you. But call it I don't know. Call me fool for chasing a childhood dream. But here I am.
Well, I can't call you a fool for chasing a childhood dream because that's what I've done myself. He's using his left hand to take off his right gauntlet, and he offers you his hand in a firm handshake should you choose to accept it.
Jason accepts. He likes this guy's energy.
You accept. He pulls you close and claps you on the back. His energy carries. He can't help but stop. He goes toward you, Sporgle, leaning down and offering you a hand.
Sportle looks at it. He sniffs it. Okay.
There is a brief moment of pause where he, much like me, is overwhelmed by your strange mannerisms. As you sniff his hand, he withdraws it for a moment, but then embraces you. Sporgle, he gives you a nice, warm, close embrace, and you feel his love for life.
Incredible. Sporgle picks his pocket.
Roll sleight of hand.
All right.
Jason is going to just universally ignore these moments. He could not give half a fuck.
Your
27.
Your ethical flexibility begins to be a problem, Kaysen. One moment.
Hey, he's not my goblin.
You said 20.
Sporgle ain't no one's goblin. 27,
27?
yes.
Okay, one moment. You find 3 things in his pockets that would be fairly easy to lift. You think that with your 27, you could probably lift 2 of them.
Ooh.
There are the following things. One moment. There is something sharp. There is something square and soft. And there is something tied in twine.
Let's do the sharp and the twine.
Noted. You, as this paladin of Selûne embraces you, you steal 2 things from him, and you sense that his exuberance is enough to shield you from any allegations of suspicion. You find a dagger, and simply touching the dagger, you can tell that it must have some ceremonial purpose. And the thing tied in twine, just inspecting it only briefly, it seems like a present for somebody. It's wrapped up. Goblins also give gifts. Goblins are gifters. And you sense the telltale cross shape of twine this way and twine that way, as if to hold something inside. It's a small box about the size of both of Sporgle's fists together. And as you liberate it from the paladin's trappings, you hear something rattling around inside. The moment continues. You have these items in your possession. Oh, my mom is going to be so excited about all of this. A paladin of Lathander, a whatever. I don't know. You're a good hugger. It's so nice to see you. What do you guys need? Lodging? Something? Food?
Uh,
Advice?
A lot of
Love?
pressing things going on. There's a griffin behind us. I don't know if that's a problem. There's a bunch of odd elven war drum sounds coming down the river. I'm supposed to talk to
What?
somebody Severino's father over at the tavern. We need food. We need beer. And I'm looking for
War drums?
books.
War drums? Can we
Yeah,
start
there's
there? War drums.
yeah, my elfie ears are picking up something east. Definitely sounds like elven war drums. I don't know, is that like a normal thing? You guys expecting like a parade or something coming through? No, doesn't look like it, no.
He is already leaving. He is running back toward the battlements. When you say this,
Oh dear.
he breaks off in a sprint.
Hey, Sportle, I feel like we are probably not going to be of any help with the situation, so,
You cause problems.
yeah. What do you say we just keep going? Let's let him deal with that. I think we should get out of here. I'm like looking to see, like, does his pockets get a little fatter? Like Sporkle's outfit just keeps going like just progressively more shit in his pockets. Love that for him.
You
He's all
hear
this-
the characteristic sound of iron being pulled across stone. It must be that paladin picking his sword back up.
Dear. Yeah, hoping. And does it look / sound like he's the only person over here?
You listen. From the south, you hear distant sounds, the occasional shout, the occasional clink of a glass, the occasional whinny of a horse. You hear the sounds of civilization to your south.
Right, he's pretty much the only person in the little tower over there.
You are permitted to
Good assumption.
presume that. Yes, that is a good assumption.
I feel like we need to get this guy some backup. In case that boat is making a stop here. Hoping it's going to keep going through, but never been that lucky.
Sporkle is unwrapping the thing in twine, right, as he's walking.
Fuck is that?
Sparkles.
Uh-huh. When did you get the sporks?
Why so many, Cruston?
No particular reason. No, it's fine. It's fine.
You unwrap it. There is plain white tissue paper cradling a small object. The small object looks like it was carved from some type of heavy black stone. It's a figurine. It's heavier than it looks. It looks like a horse with a horn.
Sporkle has nothing to do with this. Oh. He hands it to Case and goes, Sporkle, that's your gift.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was just checking up on the chat. Wait, what did he just find?
In your hands, Sporgle has handed you something. It's a small carved black figurine. It feels like it's made out of some type of heavy black stone. It looks like a horse with a horn. You see that Sporgle has left a tangle of tissue paper in his wake that must have embraced this tiny figurine.
I'm gonna take the 2 seconds to grab that and pick that up before I attempt to run and catch up with my little green
You do so.
troublemaker friend.
You do so, cleansing the world of something that has plagued it. People who litter. You see a large, active-seeming building. Just past a field, you see a number of lights on. As you pass past this T intersection, you see low-slung, one-story houses to your west. Occasionally, through the trees, you see fence lines. To your east, you see a field filled with massive melons. Some orange, some green, perhaps still ripening, some growing almost golden brown. There is a sweet smell in the air.
I might at some point trespass and go take a snack, but not at this time. Doesn't seem like a good time for a snack. Where the fuck is the door for this place? Is it this
I
spot?
was actually going to get into that. I don't know if we should get into it yet. But Sporgle isn't seeing a door immediately, but he does see windows.
You do.
Yes. So Sporgle immediately jumps up on one of those windows and sees if he can open it.
Sporgle, doors. We use doors here.
Well, Sporgle says something in Goblin. I assume you don't speak Goblin?
No.
Okay, well, he just says something in Goblin and ignores you.
You try to open which window? Show me a window.
The closest, it would be this one right here. Right there. Boom.
Looking through the window, the glass is imperfect and distorts the view slightly of what's inside. You see many figures in there, probably at least half a dozen.
Does Sporgle see any mechanism with which to open this window?
You don't see an easy one. This window seems like it could be set into the structure itself. You don't see a lever or any straightforward way to open it. This window might not
Gotcha.
open.
That's what I was asking. Okay. Sporgle will not investigate further. He starts looking for a door.
You see an entryway. Kaysen was outside of it a moment ago. There is a sign. It says, "The Lonesome Tankard," and there is a picture of a tankard. To your east, Kaysen, to your southeast, Sporgle, there is a hallway that leads to what must be a tavern. From inside, you hear the light sounds of conversation.
I'm gonna keep booking it. I'm not so concerned about keeping an eye on my little goblin buddy at this point, because I feel like we have several more pressing things going on. Sporgle, do you think? Just keep sporging.
Sporgle will make his way in.
You do so. One moment.
I'm imagining my character just like fucking careening in and like skidding to a stop. Like he's got little carpet sliders on them.
You find yourselves in a covered archway. Above you, there is a leaky roof that lets through little bits of moonlight above you. There is a porch here and a large tavern door that opens outward. The tavern door is slightly ajar. To your east, you see multiple wagons and a picnic table parked in the courtyard. You see a L-shaped building starting to your south, from which you can hear the sounds of horses. Some nickering, some whinnying, some moving around in the hay there.
Are the doors to the tavern open or shut?
It is very slightly ajar. It is perhaps 5% ajar. 5 degrees.
In my haste, I'm going to open it probably a little bit too hard with a bang that draws more attention than I wanted it to.
You open it and misjudge the air pressure inside. This is a large room, so when you open it, there is not enough air pressure inside to prevent it from flying open. When you do so, Kaysen, it slams. on the outside. There's the sound of wood connecting into wood, and everyone inside looks up at you. The first person to notice you and say something is Ed Severino.
God fucking damn it.
He sees the suns on your pauldrons and laughs. He says, Laird, it's a Lathandra. Laird, technically, isn't his god giving it to your god? Isn't that right? Laird, isn't that right? Isn't his god giving it to your god? Laird.
As much as I'd love to get into this again, speaking of paladins, we might have a slightly bigger problem. Do you guys have like a military force here? Your paladin over by the river might need some assistance.
Everyone is looking at you. There is a strange sense that you are not just an outsider, but an outsider with what sounds like dire news.
You guys aren't expecting an elven war party passing through?
When you say the words Elven War Party, the skepticism and amusement that everyone had on their face is replaced with terror.
Sporgle picks up on this, and all eyes are looking at Kaysen, and he just starts like sidestepping away further and further.
Sporgle, you realize that everyone is also aware of you. Corrine tilts her head and chuffs. She goes, She seems incredibly amused that you are here in this place. You wonder if she's imagining taking your life right now. Laird sits up a little bit in his chair. His arms twitch uncomfortably behind him. Sire, if that is your appellation, please come sit with us. You said the words Elven War Party. This is fairly provocative around these parts. I'm sure you can understand why.
Not necessarily specifically an elven war party. I just happened to hear drums of elven make on a boat heading from the east to the west. It possibly means something else. Hopefully, I have no stake in this. He says, kind of hesitantly trailing off, realizing that was probably not helping.
When you say, I have no stake in this, Laird and Ed relax a bit. Okay. So, you think you heard something, right? How sure
Something.
are you? I'm sorry.
I was a little distracted by the
What is that thing?
really fat bird up in the air. Did someone's pet get loose?
A fat bird.
I don't know it.
What is this thing?
That's
I'm sorry. First a drow and now this. Are we really? We're not going to talk about this. This is just accepted now that everything walks into our tavern and there's nothing that we do.
I mean, maybe a circus is in town.
Ed, the drow's one thing. A goblin, you should know what a goblin is, and they do just kind of wander into towns. This one in particular.
Jason is trying so fucking hard to make himself like invisible to the drow over
There's
in the corner. He wants none of that.
So what is
I'm-
it? Is it stupid? What is it?
It's
No, I'm the stupid one.
I'm sure you're not. Would you please sit down and tell us your name?
Kason, would any of you happen to... Let's get this over with. Would any of you happen to have the last name Severino? I'm supposed to see one of you.
No way looks to Ed.
Oh god, it's you. Isn't
Who's
it? Hi.
staring. Yeah.
I was told you'd have questions for me.
So Ed,
Then-
Hopefully fun ones.
I'm
Noe also looks across the tavern to make eye contact with Tilda. Like, you know things. Do you know anything?
No one help him. No one help him. I'm going to ask you a question and I need you to answer it truthfully.
Yes, sir.
If you lie, I'll know, and I'll kill you. Do you understand?
Crystal clear, sir.
You can just leave now, you know?
No, let's get this over with.
No, you can't. Your time to leave is over. What's your mother's name?
When Ed says this, I'm looking at No Way. I'm gonna put my hand on my waist like I'm reaching for something, like a weapon or something.
Era?
I don't understand your obsession with this.
Ed whips and snarls and glares at you, Julianne. I know you don't understand. That's why you need to keep your fucking mouth shut. Are you lying to me? He strides towards you, Kaysen. He stands up and leans over you. Both of his hands are on the back of your chair. Are you lying to me?
It's a really specific thing to lie about. Are we not more concerned about the Griffin and
No, I am
the war party? No, okay.
Nothing concerns me more than this. Do you know the
Not
word?
even the-
Do you know the word obsession? You know the word obsession? I have an obsession, and I need it to be satisfied. Are you lying to me? Where did you?
I'm a follower of a dead god. I get the obsession thing. I'm not lying to you. I'm kind of just looking for, a beer, and then all this stuff started happening. I don't. Do I know you from somewhere? I have this problem a lot. I forget faces. I'm very forgetful. Do I have a debt to you that I am not aware of? Because I can fix that. I think. Maybe not today, but
Ed is leaning over you as if he's about to say something, and Laird, from across the table, stiffens a bit. Ed, I am completely confident that this one has no idea what you're referring to, and certainly further interrogation would only scare him. For a long moment, Ed quivers. His hands are balls on the edges of the chair, and you can feel the chair moving as if he's ready to shove it and you with it. And then suddenly, without a word, he releases your chair and sits down next to you.
so
Where are you from?
border town, so small. If I told you the name, you wouldn't even be able to find it on a map. But southwest, just a little nowhere town. Traveled a lot. Haven't been home in a while. Spent the last couple of years working as a paladin. Before that, a wilderness guide. Was that really the only question you had for me? I was expecting more.
Roll insight DC 6.
$11.
11 on a 6. He's seeking something or someone in particular. He's looking for someone, and apparently he doesn't think you can help him. But there was a brief moment of angry optimism when he thought that maybe you could.
Interesting.
And No Way and Tilda, I observed some nonverbal communication.
Hilda's found her way to No Way's side.
After
And-
No Way went, come here, non-verbally.
I am very interested in what's happening. I sit down. I am exuding energy and waiting for No Way's signal.
Noe is still tending to her father's dinner, but as soon as there's like a gap in the conversation between Ed and Kaysen, she says, "Well, welcome to Evening Star, friend. We're happy that you found your way here. This is my friend Tilda. I am Noe."
Well met. Kason, I was kind of hoping to get here on an uneventful night, but sort of stuff has a habit of following me, even if I'm not directly related. So,
Well,
sorry if I jinxed
So
everyone.
nice to meet you.
yeah, surely it's simply an omen from your god.
My god is, how do I put this nicely? He's a little quiet.
As gods tend to be, yes.
Yeah, if I had even a bad omen, I would be delighted about that. But as of yet, he's not said anything
Well,
to me for
sometimes
quite some time.
silence in and of itself is communication, as painful as it may be. I'm sure that that means he is pleased with your work.
Yeah, I hope so. Still
What?
trying to make something of myself, but maybe someday.
She smiles at that.
So you wanted to make something of yourself in Evening Star, then?
Kind of just chasing leads, not even really for anything specific, just trying to find. It's like I'm not even sure what page to turn to in a book because I'm not even sure what book I'm looking for yet. I'm looking for information, but I don't even know what questions to ask. So, figure if I go to a big town, I will start finding something, anything.
Kason, I know exactly what you mean.
Are you all from here? I'm like also looking back to see what the fuck Sportle's up to now.
What is Ed doing as we dither along here?
Very curious about Ed.
Ed is absorbing everything. You're having an interesting conversation right next to him, right? His eyes move from person to person. You know Ed well. If there's something he does very well, he listens and internalizes and plots. Ed has a vengeful heart.
Kason, are you local? I seem to remember the name Kason from somewhere.
Nope, definitely, definitely not local. This, yeah, I'm not really anybody in particular.
You know, everybody has a story that's told about them that may not be true. I heard maybe a nasty rumor about you.
Oh.
We probably shouldn't spoil anybody's dinner appetites.
I'm sure it's wrong. I'm just curious, that's all.
Well, what
Is
sort
that
of
you?
nasty rumor could be possible about a paladin of Lathander?
It's the Sportle movie.
I just thought there was some incident with some deaths in a cave. It sounded really unfortunate, and I'm sure the fact that you're a paladin helps shield you from such accusations as this, and I'm so sorry, but I'm just repeating what I've heard.
I don't have a comment on that. Whatever you've heard is whatever you've heard.
Tilda, dear, you do understand people can have the same name, right? And rumors are just rumors.
So I've heard.
You see, Tilda's mother has a gift of, among many things, something akin to omniscience and prophecy. And so Tilda, our dear Tilda, is very well attuned to information, signals throughout the world, noise.
Just my luck. Well, then I'm sure whatever you've heard probably has some grain of truth. I will just say that being a wilderness guide was certainly not my calling.
I
It
love the
was
wilderness.
it was an odd job, a way to get me to where I am today, which is, well, where am I?
Are you looking for work?
Looking for a lot of things, but work wouldn't hurt.
Okay, well, and she looks over to Ed. Well, we could use some help with the harvest tomorrow.
Kason has the gleam in his eyes of someone who owes so many debts to people all over the globe and does not have a coin to his name. He looks like he would move 200-pound melons all week long if you asked him to.
Ed
He's kind of nervously looking at Ed like,
Ed glowers at you. No way, how do I put this? I'm running a union here, not a charity. It's fun to mock your lot in life by inviting you to pull a wagon, but I'm not sure that I'm actually looking for someone to do that. We are well taken care of, and my union is not accepting new members. Laird, do you need... You realize that your dad is having immense trouble eating, and Ed uses his fork to help him. Something changes suddenly. The sun disappears beyond the horizon. Elaine Lochlaren, seems to sense this. She pulls in a deep breath and exhales. She whips around and looks at the gathered group one moment.
I don't like that the map reloaded. What's different?
We got the
The
nighttime.
lighting.
Lainey is looking at all of you. Kareen leans over the bar. She cannot possibly wait any longer, and Elaine, more than anybody,
Your mic's not picking this.
welcome to Evening Star Travelers. Your weather report is sponsored by Biometrica, the journal for their discerning spellcaster, available quarterly. There will be absolutely perfect conditions for the last 10 day of Marparth. From now until midweek, low cloud coverage. Chilly and dry conditions will persist until the end of the 10 day. Low winds coming east and southeast as cool air flows from the storm horns into our valley. Cold mountain air from the storm horns. That might be responsible for some of the magical effects that people claim to be experiencing. Arl's bounty evermore, as they say. I doubt that very much, Laird. Uktar is a different story. Katabatic winds descending from the storm horns will drive temperatures down. Frost conditions are expected to arrive during the first 10 day. The first frost day is expected to be 3 Uktar. Laird and Ed exchange a look. Third day of next month. 3 days to harvest, 2 to lash it to barges. 8 days, Laird, I can count. 8 days to ship the biggest project of our short lives. North to south winds are expected to intensify as a result of psionic activity centered around a... Okay, Lainey. And there is a loud squeak as Ed's chair grinds across the floor. Kareen is walking toward Lainey, her boots click, click, click across the floor. Ed is already standing. How about river temperatures? Something real? I really don't find any of this psionic stuff cute, Lainey.
I'm sorry. Am I not the only one that's experienced weird brain scratching lately? Is this actually? I didn't eat weird mushrooms.
Kareen is smoldering. No, 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 no. This is what I came for, my brunette love. Please finish your sentence. Please, please, please. Tell me about the psionics. Elaine is already glaring deeply at Ed, walking toward him with each word. East of Evening Star, on an old ley line, Ed, there is something bursting forth, a wound on the weave, bubbling just underneath her skin, with all of us scratching at it. Our fingernails are threatening to break the surface, Ed. Is that real enough for you? Pus oozing forth like white water on the mountains, covering your little altar. And suddenly, another sound, a deep clong. A bell, distant, and everyone except Kareen stops. Ed talks first. That was south. My son's working overnight barges. Laird looks pale. Laird looks directly at you. No way. Josan's at the south bunker. Could it be the Marshal? The Fist?
Oh,
Ed-
the one who's late?
Ed steadies himself, kneeling to the floor and resting his palm on the wood. I feel horses. Cavalry. Laney steps away from the easel. The south gate? The north gate's just outside town. Tilda, your brother's there. Take anyone you can.
I leap out of my seat.
She walks over to you. Tilda, you feel both of your mother's hands on your shoulders. Your brother is at the northern bunker. Go make sure he's okay. Ed,
Yeah.
Ed inserts himself directly in there. His face is close to yours, between you and your mother's. Hi. I grew up in ancient Cormyr, and if you were here, you could be conscripted to defend our motherland. I will not let those traditions die so easily. You will go to the North Gate. Laney's son is there, your brother. If anyone intends to come across that bridge, stop them. If this is Sylvans, they will send scouts first. Light cavalry. This is my home. Cut out of the forest just for me and my kin. I don't know who's out there, but they won't take it from us.
This isn't your home, Ed. This is my home. And I'll rush out the door.
You do so, and the session ends.
Holy fuck! Now that's a cliffhanger.
It's a pilot episode, right?
Yeah. That's the
Hell of a fucking pilot.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Session 1. Hello. Yes.
It's great.
Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. Okay.